Yeah, we are so excited to be here, and we have a few technical glitches because I just saw that we missed a little bit of that intro.
Oh my goodness. Okay. I
We
can
missed
go back
part of
over
the
it.
intro going live, but it's okay. It's
It's
okay.
okay.
It's all good.
Okay.
We are so excited to be with the PharSide Co-ed Book Club. Um, if you know about book clubs, um, it's more than just reading. It's community. It's exchange of ideas. It is networking. It is connection, and what we read and the conversations we engage in um, establish family.
Mm-hmm.
So Farside Co-ed Book Club has been around for a minute, and we've become family. We've become friends. We've established partnerships, even outside of the book club, and we still read. And so that's why we're here, and why Farside is doing the things that it's doing. And so we thank you for this opportunity to officially, be a part of the launch of Farside
Mm-hmm.
co-ed book clubs, you know, part of Farside Pholio pop-ups, as we're
Yes.
calling them. So, and I'm proud to serve as managing editor in this new role. So happy to be here.
Well, we're glad to have you, Monica. And as I stated before, um, we've taken on, yes, last night I did a blurb about who we are and where we came from, and also where we are at now. So we now are an editing and publishing consulting company. So for all you new writers, emerging authors out there, look us up. We're on. We have our Facebook page as well as our website, which is farsidecoedbookclub.com. But this is another leg that we're adding on to where we do the Farside Folio pop-ups. So we're interviewing authors later on today, and Monica is going to be introducing her segment of the show, which is going to be introducing children authors. I'm sorry, authors who write children's books. Excuse me. And so that's going to be later on today at 2 and at 3 o'clock. But today I have the privilege and the honor to interview Monica Leek. I know you probably missed some of the intro as far as her background. I just want to give you a little blurb because she really has done so much. As I stated, she's a graduate of Appalachian State University with a Bachelor's of Science in Communications Disorder, South Carolina State University with a Master's of Arts in Speech Language Pathology, North Carolina Central University with a Master of Library Science, John Leland Center for Theological Studies with a Master of Divinity. She's the editor and contributing writer of Faith of Our Founders 100 Daily Devotionals to inspire, encourage, and propel the finer woman. So she is a member of the Zeta Phi Beta Sorority Incorporated. She contributed writings for Lenten devotional, The Road to Calvary, Surviving a Season of Suffering for the 2018, 2019, and 2020 editions of Recipients, a Lenten devotional for dismantling white supremacy. Excuse me, that was my phone, and I do apologize. Also, she is her latest projects include a contribution to an anthology of, let's see here, I'm sorry, an anthology of Purpose Pushers, the journey of discovering and walking in your life's purpose, excuse me. And so she currently works as a speech language pathologist in Southern Maryland and as a seminary librarian in Northern Virginia. I've said a mouthful, and there's more. I guarantee you there's more that she does. But I want to get into our reason for this pop-up. She's written 2 books. The first book I had the pleasure of editing. The first book is Monica Leek. Can you see it? I hope you can see it. There we go. No more hashtags, reflections and remembrance. Um, Her second book is No More Hashtags, Who You Calling. I hope I can do this right. Who You Calling. Um, and these are her babies. These are her babies that she birthed. And so I want to begin our interview by asking, why was it important to write these books? What was the jump point for you to literally write these books about people whose lives were taken too soon because of police lynchings?
I think you crafted that word right. Police lynchings. Um, we went through a season where we had modern day lynchings, and we are yet living in a time of modern day lynchings. If you saw what happened on the Capitol, and I'm not far, I'm 13 miles outside of DC. So if you saw what happened on the Capitol, like right before inauguration, with the insurrection at the Capitol building, just a week or so later, there was a noose that was found outside of my job. So hanging from a tree. So it's that kind of deep rooted fear, hatred, anger,
Yes.
envy.
Yes.
I would say envy and even jealousy and misunderstanding
Lots of that.
that has brought us to this point in our nation and in our lives. So, in writing the first book, when I wrote it, for the longest time, every time I woke up, you turn on the news, and I was watching News One now with Roland Martin during that season. And the minute the news started, it was about who was killed, what was happening in the city where this incident took place, what led up to it, the persons involved, what was the reaction of the community, what were those officials, like city councilmen, chief of police, what were attorneys for family members, what were the attorneys for the accused, was there going to be any process of punishment, are the persons responsible going to be recused from their position, or are they going to get paid without leave? And more times than not, we did not see the justice work in the favor of the life that was lost.
Correct.
So the victim became, became their own perpetrator, so to speak. Like they became the reason why. Well, if you just do this, if you just comply, if you don't talk back, if you don't assert your rights as a citizen of these United States, you can't question, an officer of the law about why you're being pulled over. For somebody to be found hanging in their jail cell without, without cause.
Right.
Without having suffered any issues of mental illness or anything of that nature, but you're going to say that, it was make it their fault. So the twist in the stories, the shift in the stories, and the victims not being able to speak for themselves, I felt it was necessary to give them voice and pay tribute to their memory and acknowledge what happened, because you can't address a situation or a problem without first acknowledging the wrong.
Right.
There's something that was done here that was wrong.
Correct.
Needs to be addressed. So until you're willing to acknowledge and address it, then the thing keeps happening over and over again and the cycle continues. So this first book was my effort just to shed some light on the things that were happening around me. And it was like an urgency of now that I couldn't let it go. I had to, it's like I had to write it, and, I had to write it, and I had to put it in a form that I was familiar with, that a form that I was comfortable with, even though it was something that, I wasn't out there, on stage or platforms or in venues, in the season that I wrote it. But I had to put pen to the paper to express, how I was feeling, how I was internalizing everything. And so it was like a healing process for me, as much as it was just, the urgency of, getting the word out, getting the awareness out, to have let's take a moment to reflect and remember and think about these lives.
When I was editing your first book, I must admit there were times when I had to take the book and I had to lay it down. It was it was it was one of those moments to where to me it felt like you wrote it from the perspective of, you could have been living across the street. You saw these people's lives. You wrote it from a very intimate place. And so as I was going through it, one of the questions kept coming up to me, is that when writers write, if do you think someone could write? I put it this way: do you think someone could be a writer if they don't feel emotions strongly?
I think you can write. You make an effort to write, but the effect won't be the same. The impact won't be the same. The passion will not be there. And you're not going to get the full roundness of the story, and that there'll be something missing if the person who's writing is not able to connect it, or connect the dots, or has absolutely no, connection to the stories. Now, I will say that I've never met anybody I wrote about. Mm-hmm. If I saw them on the street, other than, being, a person that of color, that I connected to by race, I wouldn't know them, because I don't have a personal relationship with the persons or the families that I wrote these stories about. However, what I have a connection to is to the stories of a people in pain, to the stories of people who are marginalized,
That's good.
or to the stories of people where their intelligence and their abilities are questioned, where you're not supposed to live in this certain area because, or you're not supposed to have this level of education because. And so coming from that perspective connected me to these stories in such a way that I didn't have to know them personally, because their story was my story. It's a community story. It's right. A shared story, whether you're on the continental United States or anywhere in the diaspora. Mm-hmm. This is our story. This is our song. Our song, we sing of being buked and scorned and being talked about. We sing of struggle and stony rods, that we've gone through. We sing of, wading in the water and the
Mm,
waters being troubled. We sing about, like, swing low, come,
mm,
sweet chariot, coming forward to carry me home. That
mhm.
we're yet looking for home, and
Yes.
where, that home that is ours, that we can claim, that is ours. This land is your land. This land is my land. We're looking for that home, that place of freedom, and trying to strive for justice and equity for all people, everyone, and not just looking at it as, okay, this is the set of rules for this group of people, and so if they, do this certain thing, then they get a fine.
Mm,
But
mhm.
for another segment of the population, if they do the same, um, commit the same offense, then we're just going to throw them behind bars and lock away the key without any thought as to their future, or as to their families, or, or their well-being. So we, write the stories, we tell these stories from a heart of connection and from our experience.
Okay. Okay. As you were talking, I heard that Masters of Divinity come through. I heard that minister come through. Wanted to go ahead and do one of these, and what I'm saying, throw my hands up. So I heard that come through, and I have to ask this, as being a minister of the gospel, um, you you're passionate about our struggle, our people. Do you think that's being taught enough? Um, how can I say this? Taught, preached, and transformed in our churches, because we're a part of a reconstruction period now. We're going through a whole nother one now.
Mm-hmm.
So your book, even though it was written, what the first one was written like 3 years ago, still it's timely, because we're still going through these processes. And so now we are at a point where we need to have a serious reconstruction done across the board, economically, culturally, socially, religiously, politically, the whole nine. So do you think that, as the Black church played a major part during the 20th century, what do you think about the 21st century? Are they still relevant in playing a part in this reconstruction period?
As long, as God is the builder of the building, then our labor is not in vain.
Okay.
Now, the minute we strike off and it becomes about our own notoriety and we forget about the people, then that's where we can see problems and challenges entering. One of the things about the Black church that, you look at the civil rights movement, that was the meeting house. It was the church was the meeting house at the time of slavery, when folks were trying to break free. Those spirituals and songs pointed the way north.
Mm-hmm.
Those spirituals and songs and the preached word from, of liberation for a people from the book of Exodus, put the people that were hearing the word into a mindset that, wait a minute, God wants us to be free, that he wants his people to walk in freedom. So the church has played that role as being the house of liberation.
Okay.
Now we have, in time, have, with all of our traditions and structures and ritual, have become, places even of bondage. So if we, bind up the women to just cooking and cleaning, or if we, or bind up the women to just the teaching of the young children, are we using them to their full capacity as those made in the divine image of God?
Amen.
And being created in his image and in his likeness. So as we are, as a church, supposed to be liberators, we have to come back, step back and evaluate, okay, are we all free? Are the women free? Are the men free? Even are the children free to express, to learn, to grow, to develop, to to find their identity and to find their purpose and find their gifts? Are they able to explore that in your church? Now, if they're able to explore that in your church, then maybe we're moving towards that. Maybe we're moving towards that freedom for all that we long for, not just in the church, but outside of the church.
Right.
So coming together as a body, if we are preaching liberation and we're manifesting liberation by the things that we are saying, by the things that we are teaching, by the words that we are preaching, then it should show outside of the four walls, where we're impacting our communities outside of the church. That the only time people see the church shouldn't be on Sunday mornings or hear about the church on Wednesday nights or whenever a service is broadcast online, but they should see the church in action. Not just church aligned with a political party or with a concept, a political leaning concept or ideas, but a church that is functioning completely, totally in alignment with the word, and to liberate, to set the folks free. Let the people be free.
I know that's right.
Let the people be free.
All right. Okay. I see you have two books of the same title, and the content of the book is derived from the lives, like we spoke of, about police lynching. When I was reading the books, all I could hear in my head was Ida B. Wells, Ida B. Wells, Ida B. Wells. If you could have a conversation with Ida B. Wells and how she reported 19th and 20th century lynchings, if you could have a conversation with her, what would you like to say to Ida B. Wells?
Ooh, and I just saw there's a new book about her life that came out a year ago. At I think it's called Line of Justice. I would ask her how she was able to separate the emotions for her own peace of mind and well-being. How did she maintain her well-being while reporting the horrors? Because lynchings during the time of Ida B were real. I mean, there are postcards of people as if it were sport. It was sport. I mean, just like the Roman Colosseums, where they had fed folks to the lions. It was, lynching was sport. So
they were done at their picnic.
And it was just like a family gathering, an event. You out there taking pictures while somebody's gotten beaten to death, hung up from a tree, burned,
Right.
emasculated,
Yes.
um, babies ripped from wombs. Come on now.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
horror. And how do you come away from that, of seeing that and experiencing that, and being able to be, at the end of the day, it's a story. I'm telling it, and then I'm going to be at peace. So that would be my question.
Ooh, y'all would have a serious conversation. Okay. Okay. Do you view your writing as a kind of a spiritual practice?
I think it became a part of a practice. I didn't set out for it to be, because I've always had journals, and I can go back and into journals, and that's like one of my favorite things, um to look at when I'm at a bookstore anywhere. I like a good pen.
Mm-hmm.
A good pen, and I like a good journal. And then I'm looking at the covers, I'm looking at the designs, I'm looking at the lines, I'm looking, at the layout.
He does.
Is this, is this worthy of my investment? And knowing exactly, okay, this journal is going to be for boom, for
Right.
this project, because I'm feeling led on to write in this vein, so I need a journal for this. So yeah, I think it's become a part of my practice, as to, okay, I'm going to bullet as I hear, get these downloads and these thoughts and ideas and concepts come to mind. That's where that journal comes in. I'll write them down, and then come back to it, pray about it, meditate on it, and then keep it moving.
Okay. Your second book, I was looking at, well, no more hashtags, who you calling? I was looking at the blurb that you put in. You had, why do black and brown shades of humanity result in so much intimidation and fear? A supposed threat to America, that whose history many hold as sacred and dear. 400 years later, still fighting for liberty and justice for all, only to become victim to white fragility through these unnecessary phone calls. The stories are never ending. This collection, like the one prior, an overflowing cup. Can we just live our best lives? Now that's what's up. When you were writing these poems, this poetry about all of these sacred lives, which one do you feel for you was the toughest to write? It really pulled at your heartstrings.
Whew, okay. I would say it's a hard one, because there were so many. Trying to narrow it down to just one. Um, Sandra Bland's connected to me, being that being a single woman, you know, launching out into a new location, new career. Um, I felt that. I know what it, I know that transition, and that, okay, and me with my lead foot, I know about, I know about being pulled over,
Mm-hmm.
and then, I know the fear, and I know, you know, there's this like hesitancy. You want to speak your mind and speak your piece, and you know, especially when you know, if you was like, I know I wasn't speeding, I know my, my tags are current, I know it's okay, why am I being pulled over, okay. And how much do you advocate for yourself? How much do you um let people just say or talk to you
Any
any
kind of way.
kind of way? Even if you're, an officer in uniform, there should be a level of, humanity and respect that, okay, I've been asked a question, and this is, I'm going to give, either the standard answer or response, and how, I'm going to judge the situation appropriately. But that moment was, I think, hers was one of those that stood out to me. Currently, and I've got this next project does have the piece that I wrote for George Floyd in it. So writing that one was, a hard one, because I had to leave it, because it was so fresh, and it was, it stayed in front of the news for so long, and the stories kept, the names that you heard, and Breonna Taylor's, I mean, all of those, Ahmaud Arbery, all of those names were just, coming, and I wrote those pieces, and it's coming out, it'll be coming out in the spring. So we're gonna become that, like, those projects.
Good.
Hallelujah. So writing those stories was, once you get done with them, and it's, a release, it's a release, it's a relief. But you just, they pull at you, because it's just like, what is so bad, or what has you so fearful, that it's worth taking my life, and and you don't even, like, you can take a life and not care, and then that you can take a life, and where are we as a nation if you know that you can take a life and not be punished for it?
Yes, that's the question.
So that's the question.
That's the question.
That's the hard question that we need to ask our representatives, those that we elect, those that hold offices, about this whole accountability thing, and this whole idea of there being two justice systems. So, because the structures are real.
Yes,
They're not imaginary. So
no, not at all. Okay. So let's see. I got three more, and then we're gonna wrap it up a little bit. But I just want to say, I ask you, what was your favorite underappreciated novel?
Oh, Jesus.
Or if you don't have one, you don't have one.
I think California Cooper, short story author, A Peace of Mind.
Okay.
So her writing is like, her characters are like your community. It's like going down south in the summer to spend with with your grandparents and your aunts and uncles and your cousins. And the woman, who bakes cakes, the man who works, for the railroad, the the couple that's been trying, to have kids. And so you have all of these different stories and people that are connected, maybe just about there's like one person who's telling everybody's story. Look, the
Right.
community griot.
Yes.
Who's telling the stories,
Mm-hmm.
and you get a sense of these characters, their lives, and their challenges, their struggles, and the effort it takes to get to where they're going, or to realize their dreams,
Mm-hmm.
and achieve the things that they do in spite of.
Okay.
So, I mean, she takes you on a journey through different time periods. Or, a lot of some of her stories are set in the 40s,
Mm-hmm.
or the 20s. But you get a sense of community and community life and all of those aspects of what you know makes being African American, and knowing our stories and where we come from and our families, that we have aunties and
Mm-hmm.
uncles and grandmamas and pawpaw,
Momays.
you know
Mm-hmm.
and cousin Lee,
Mm-hmm.
and May Lee, who was named after Big Mama from down the way. So you
Mm-hmm.
you have all of those connections. So definitely, I read a vast array of stuff. But J. California Cooper is one of my favorite go-tos. That you know I don't know if she really ever got her props for her writing while she was living, but definitely somebody you need to check out as far as her just her writing and her gifts.
Okay. Okay. Um, let's see here. If you didn't write, what would you do for work?
Oh, okay, so because I'm working 50-11 jobs, for real,
I understand. I
um,
hear you.
I think what I wanted to do and what seemed crazy, me and my best friend in high school, we were like in junior high, middle school. We had these dreams of we were going to New York, child.
Okay.
We were going to
Okay.
New York. And
Mm-hmm.
my dream was to be the director of youth services for New York Public Library. But
Wow.
I just wanted, if you remember from The Wiz, that scene
Yes.
with the lions in front of
Mm-hmm.
that branch, that main branch
Yes.
of the library, and I'm just like, yeah, I want to be the director of youth services at the new. And she was gonna go work at a big accounting
Yeah.
firm there, and we gonna do it. We gonna be up there
In New York.
in New York City, and we gonna be doing the thing. Look,
Okay.
and would have been up there struggling on
Well,
on
you would have been together though.
on the struggle bus. The way they've got the way jurisdictions fund and treat libraries is sad, and so we definitely need that advocacy for our libraries and
Yes.
the programs and what they mean to our community as
Yes.
access points for job training, as access points for information, as access points to employment.
That's
you
right.
know I mean, libraries have been like you go and sign up for your time at the computer. You gonna search and you gonna fill out applications
Yes.
and you're gonna take a class and you're
Yes.
gonna they've offered, you know, we're gonna do help you with doing your taxes and you can get your tax forms at
Yep.
the library.
Yep.
And so there, I mean, there was a whole campaign several years ago about at the library just to highlight all of the things that are happening in libraries. So
Mm-hmm.
I definitely think that's something we need to take another, you know, take a look at
Mm-hmm.
in supporting our libraries, you know,
Yes.
because you know they're ever going to be the houses of information and
Yes, they
access,
are.
and so we don't want to neglect them, you know,
Yes.
especially with this season of all of these writers coming forth and being
Yes.
published. If you're being published, you need some place to go.
Yes.
Yeah, and the library is a place of access that you know your book can readily and easily be in. And the process of getting your book, whether it's self-published, is not that difficult to get your book into the local branch, you know, of the library, or even into all of the branches with a conversation and completing the form by the library director. So for all of those, you know, authors who are out there, um, just put that little nugget in your back pocket.
Okay. Okay, Miss Librarian. Okay. My last question. Um, if you could tell your younger writing self anything, what would it be?
Um, don't stop. Um, don't stop just because somebody doesn't like your style. Your style is not meant for everyone. You know, you keep writing the way you write because your style will appeal to those who it appeals to. And, you know, it's not for everybody. That's okay.
Yes.
It's okay if, you know, your teachers don't get it. It's okay even if your parents don't get it. It's okay if your family don't get it, and your cousin and them and all the people, you know, in your immediate circle, or even those that you call your best friends, that they don't get it, or they don't get the why. Why are you writing fiction? Why are you writing poetry? Why are you writing nonfiction? Why are you writing a memoir or a biography? You know, why are you writing a guidebook? You know, why are you
Mhm.
writing a devotional? Um, you've been called to write. You know, you've been called to scribe. You've been called to convey information. And so while it's on you to write and to get these books out, you've got to do it without question or without second guessing or allowing doubt and fear to overtake you and overwhelm you. So I definitely would tell my youngest self, forget what your honors English 3 teacher said, and just, you know, keep writing, you know, writing for you and writing for those who read in the future.
Excellent. Wise words. Wise words to really hear and live by. I think there'd be so many more writers out there if they weren't told by teachers, some teachers that didn't understand the mindscape of that child, and they just weren't there. You know, that's and you know, no shade and no blame. I used to teach too, so I can't, you know, not at all. But it's just that sometimes you have to look at that child and realize that there's someplace else that you may not necessarily be, but it's okay to explore where they're at, you know. So wise words. Monica, I want to say thank you. Thank you from the bottom of my heart. I appreciate this interview. It was lovely hearing your heart, hearing, you know, you shed light on your process of writing and why you write, and also to share other authors um, that have spoken life into you. You know, whether you met them or not, doesn't matter. You read their works, and something that they said kept you writing, and we want to hear more from you. Um, As we said, we are PharSide Co-Ed Book Club editing and publishing consultants. I am the chief editor, and Monica is my lovely managing editor. Later on today at 2 o'clock, she will be interviewing authors of children's books. So please bring the kiddies in. We want them to come in and look at these wonderful authors and their books at 2 and at 3 o'clock. Xavier Peoples is at 2, and SRD Harris is at 3 o'clock. So please come in. But as I stated in our announcements of uh, her interview, that there is a prize giveaway. Now, what you will get is hardback editions of her first 2 books. You'll get a lovely PharSide pen, as well as a bag to match. And you'll also get our bookmark as well, with all our information on it, and one of our cards as well. So the first person who DMs us over on our site and Facebook, PharSide Co-Ed BC, I need for you to tell me, what school did she first attend?
Ooh,
You have to, you have to write it in there. The first person who does, put it in there. And then I will message you back and ask you for your information, and I will send all of these wonderful gifts to you. Okay.
all right, y'all got it. Don't worry about the spelling. Don't worry about the spelling.
So again, we thank each and every person who attended with us here on our first launch for PharSide Pholio pop-ups. We're going to have more. This whole entire month of February, Monica is doing the PharSide Pholio pop-ups for children authors. I guarantee you this is going to be a blast. You're going to have so much fun meeting these authors. And please bring your children. We want to build their libraries up. They need more books. They need to read more and to see their skin tone writing these books, and to encourage them as well. We're not stopping this just because the month of Black History. We're not stopping this. This is going to be ongoing. And also for those that are ready to write, we're ready to publish it. All those, and also for those who have already written and you've already been published, but you'd like to be on our show, please give us a contact. Contact us. You can contact us at our email, farsidecoedbc@gmail.com, or you can call us at 678-701-7511. We'll be more than happy to have you on one of our shows. We just want to make sure that you're getting out there to another audience. We want to make sure that your works are being put out there so people can know that you're here and that your story can be told and heard by various audiences. And like I said, I don't care what side of the hemisphere you're on. Just let us know, and we'll be more than happy to have you on the show. Again, thank you, and we will catch you on
The
the
PharSide.
Have a good day, everybody.